On a warm summer evening in Tempe, Arizona, July 2nd, 2003, a simple knock at the door shattered not only one man's life, but the peace of an entire community. 54-year-old Patrick Servino, husband, stepfather, churchgoer, and devoted caregiver, stood in the entryway of his modest home just after 6:30 p.m. He had no way of knowing that the next few seconds would be his last. He opened the door. A gun was raised. The trigger was pulled. And Patrick collapsed on the floor of his own home, a bullet tearing through his body, leaving him bleeding and gasping for life. His killer? Gone into the Arizona twilight, before anyone could stop them. His motive? Still unknown. And now, 22 years later, Patrick's family is still waiting for justice. Patrick Servino's story began far from the desert heat of Arizona. He was born in Jersey City, New Jersey, growing up in a working-class neighborhood where life was simple but not always easy. He learned the values that would define him: hard work, loyalty, and faith, long before tragedy would test him. In 1974, Patrick made the life-changing decision to move west of Phoenix, Arizona. He accepted a position with the Salt River Project, a company responsible for providing water and power to the growing Phoenix metropolitan area. It was stable work, and for Patrick, it was more than just a job. It was a way to build a future. Friends and colleagues describe him as dependable, the kind of man you could trust without question. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't the center of attention. He was a man who showed up, did his job, and cared for people around him. For nearly 30 years, Patrick was married to his first wife, Anna. The two shared a life built on faith and mutual support. They were active in their church, close to friends, and by all accounts, happy. But in January 2002, tragedy struck. Anna passed away from complications of childhood polio. Those who knew Patrick say her death was devastating, leaving a deep emptiness in his life. But Patrick was not someone to give up on love or companionship. In March 2003, just over a year later, he remarried, this time to Barbara Jean Giddis. In the months leading up to that fateful July evening, strange and unsettling incidents began happening around Patrick's home, which sat in a quiet neighborhood near Rural and Guadalupe roads in Tempe. It started with graffiti, large, bold letters spray-painted on his property reading, "P.S. sells drugs." Not long after, someone hurled a rock through one of his windows. To police, the vandalism was deeply concerning. But the accusations didn't match the man they knew Patrick to be. A background check revealed no criminal record, no suspicious financial dealings, no involvement in drugs, nothing. Patrick was an active member of his church, a law-abiding citizen, and by all accounts, a good neighbor. So, who wanted to smear his name? And why? Could it have been a malicious prank? A disgruntled neighbor with a grudge? Or was someone deliberately setting the stage for something far worse? July 2nd, 2003 began like any other summer day in Tempe. Hot, dry, the sun beating down with relentless desert heat. That evening, Patrick was home, caring for his blind ex-mother-in-law. Barbara wasn't there at the time. Around 6:30 p.m., there was a knock, or perhaps the chime of a doorbell. Patrick walked to the front door. What happened next would take less than 5 seconds. The door opened. A gun was raised. The shooter fired at close range. Patrick collapsed inside the entryway. The shooter fled. No getaway vehicle identified. No footprints left behind. No witnesses willing or able to provide a description. This wasn't a robbery. Nothing was taken. It wasn't a random burglary gone wrong. This was personal. Tempe police immediately launched an investigation. Detectives went door to door, canvassing the neighborhood for leads. They examined Patrick's recent life events, his remarriage, the vandalism, and any possible disputes. Key questions emerged. Asterisk, was Patrick's murder the result of mistaken identity? Asterisk, could it have been a personal vendetta, perhaps connected to Barbara or her past relationships? Asterisk, was this a deliberate hit, carefully planned and executed? Archive police reports note there were no signs of forced entry, meaning Patrick opened the door willingly. That detail suggests he may have recognized the person, or at least didn't see them as a threat until it was too late. The weapon used in the shooting was also of interest to investigators. while specifics remain confidential. Knowing the type of gun could indicate whether it was a common, easily discarded firearm or something traceable to a specific individual. But despite the questions and countless hours of investigation, no arrests were made. Over the years, theories have circulated among neighbors and amateur investigators. Asterisk the neighbor theory that an unstable local resident, possibly responsible for the vandalism, escalated to murder. Asterisk the barber connection, that someone from her past harbored resentment, and Patrick became a target because of it. Asterisk mistaken identity, that the killer was after someone else entirely, and Patrick was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. The most haunting fact is the absence of a clear motive. Patrick had no known enemies. His life was one of quiet routine, faith, and community. Yet he died in an act of violence that feels targeted, almost intimate. In 2010, Barbara Jean Servino passed away, taking with her any potential information she might have had about that night. Patrick's surviving family members have endured more than 2 decades without closure. His church friends, former co-workers, and neighbors still remember him as calm, kind, and dependable, the kind of man who should have been safe in his own home. Yet, for 22 years, the case has remained unsolved. With no new media coverage for nearly 2 decades, it has faded from public consciousness. Today, Patrick Servino's case is classified as cold and is handled under the Maricopa County Silent Witness Program, which offers rewards for tips leading to an arrest. But with every passing year, the clock ticks louder. Witnesses move away. Memories fade. Evidence risks being lost forever. The question isn't just who killed Patrick Servino. It's whether the truth will ever come out at all. Think about it, answering a knock at your own front door, and that being the last thing you ever do. Patrick didn't die in a dark alley or during a dangerous trip. He died where we all feel safest, at home. And the person responsible? They could still be living freely, perhaps even nearby. If you know anything, anything about the events of July 2nd, 2003, near rural in Guadalupe and Tempe. If you saw a stranger in the neighborhood, a suspicious vehicle, or overheard something the days that followed, your information could be the missing piece detectives have been searching for. Contact Silent Witness at 480 Witness or visit silentwitness.org. You can remain anonymous. Patrick Servino's family deserves answers. Justice delayed doesn't have to mean justice denied.